Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You wake up every morning, eyes barely open, and step into a world built on repetition. Coffee, commute, emails, meetings, the illusion of progress. You scroll, you scroll, you scroll, searching for meaning in other people's curated lives. You smile, nod, laugh, all while the echo of a silent question gnaws at your chest. Is this who I really am? Life has become a masquerade. Every handshake, every polite word, every carefully filtered post is a mask. You wear them to belong. You wear them to survive. And with each mask, a part of you disappears, locked away in a shadow no one dares to face. The friends you see, the colleagues you envy, the strangers you admire, they are all performing the same act. And yet, when the curtain falls, you are left alone with the quiet, relentless voice that knows your truth. That voice whispers of dreams abandoned, of anger hidden, of fear disguised as comfort. You have built a house of masks, but the foundations are cracks. Beneath the noise of your daily life, something moves you that you cannot name. It is dark, quiet, and patient. This is your shadow. Carl Jung called it the part of yourself you reject, the rage you bury, the shame you deny, the desire you silence. It is in the small decisions you make without thinking, the recurring patterns in your relationships, the habits that betray your intentions. It sits in the corners of your mind while you argue with reality, waiting. It watches how you betray yourself in the pursuit of acceptance. The shadow is not a threat, it is truth waiting. You feel it in your hesitation, in your impulsive anger, in the inexplicable sadness that rises at random moments. You cannot escape it because it is you, and the longer you ignore it, the louder it becomes, until one day it does not whisper, it shatters. Facing this shadow is not a gentle journey. It is the edge of a cliff you cannot turn away from. You will meet the parts of yourself you swore did not exist. You will confront guilt that has haunted you since childhood. You will feel the weight of every lie you have told yourself to feel safe. And yet, there is a promise here, one that trembles behind the terror. To confront the shadow is to reclaim what was lost. To meet it is to awaken from the sleep of 1,000 mundane days. To understand it is to touch the pulse of life itself, raw and unfiltered. It will demand courage, it will demand honesty, but if you step forward, something unimaginable waits, a life that is entirely yours, unshaped by masks, unruled by fear, fully conscious, fully alive. The world has taught you to hide. Your parents, your teachers, society, they all taught you that survival means compliance. But survival is not enough. You were meant for more. You were meant to know yourself so fully that no external illusion could sway you. The Red Book calls not for perfection, not for comfort, but for confrontation. Step into your shadow, look at the darkness you have avoided, and know this: terror is the threshold, but on the other side lies freedom. You are not your mask, you are the fire that burns behind them. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. You chase happiness as if it were a tangible object, a prize sitting just beyond your reach. You measure life in likes, followers, promotions, and the approval of strangers you barely know. The Instagram smile, the perfectly curated apartment, the luxury car. You tell yourself these are markers of success. But late at night, when the noise fades, the illusion crumbles. You feel the hollow echo of a life built for appearances. The world has sold you a mirage that status, wealth, and romantic attention are proof that you are enough. And yet, in quiet moments, the emptiness whispers that it never was. You've been trained to seek comfort outside yourself, to validate your worth in the gaze of others. But the applause fades. The achievements lose luster. The relationships disappoint, You begin to sense that happiness has never been a destination. It was a reflection you were never able to recognize. Each badge of approval is temporary, each compliment fleeting, each victory a shallow echo, and in chasing it, you have ignored the one place where true contentment might exist, inside. Love, too, can be a mask. You think you are in love, but what you are feeling is often a reflection of your wounds, a projection of unmet needs. You cling to someone because they fill a void, because their presence quiets the fear you refuse to name. You crave connection, but what arrives is dependency masquerading as intimacy. The patterns repeat. The partner who triggers your old pain, the friend who mirrors your insecurities, the parent whose absence haunts every choice. You do not see the person in front of you, you see the part of yourself you hope to heal through them. And when that illusion shatters, it feels catastrophic. The betrayal is not theirs, it is yours. You have been seeking in others what you refuse to find within yourself. Your shadow, the hidden parts of your psyche, orchestrates these cycles, drawing you toward repetition until you confront it directly. Only then does love cease to be a trap and becomes a mirror of authenticity. Avoidance is a silent tax you pay daily. You suppress discomfort, push aside grief, ignore anger, and anesthetize your soul with distraction. Every denial of your shadow carves out a little more emptiness. The void grows behind the polite smiles and social masks, a dark reservoir of unacknowledged pain. You tell yourself, "I'll deal with it later," while the shadow waits patiently, knowing that later may never come. You numb yourself with substances, work, scrolling, gossip, busy work, all clever ways to avoid the storm within. But the storm does not dissipate, it lingers in small irritations, random sadness, compulsions you cannot explain. The cost is subtle, cumulative, corrosive. Moments of joy feel thin, relationships hollow, achievements meaningless, and if left unchecked, this avoidance will lead to an emotional collapse so profound it will demand confrontation. The illusions you have built for comfort, the love you have mistaken for fulfillment, the life you have structured to distract yourself, all point to the same truth: you cannot outrun your own shadow. To live authentically, you must pierce the veil. You must look past the mirage of happiness, past the illusions of love, and past the temporary distractions that have kept you numb. This is not easy. It is terrifying. You will see yourself reflected in ways that hurt, that anger, that shame you. You will face the truth that much of what you chased was empty, that your attachments were projections, and that avoidance has cost you more than you realize. But in that confrontation lies freedom. To see clearly is to stop being manipulated by shadows. To embrace truth is to reclaim energy, agency, and life itself. Face the mirror. Let the illusions fall. Only then will you know yourself. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. You are a child again, in a room that should have felt safe. A door slams, voices rise, a look of disapproval, a sigh of frustration, the cold shoulder of neglect. These moments imprint themselves on the soul. You do not remember every word, but you remember the weight. You remember the subtle warning: do not be too loud, do not be too much. Hide your fear, hide your anger, and so you adapt. You learn to fold yourself into acceptable shapes, to shrink, to disappear just enough to survive. Those echoes follow you into adulthood, unacknowledged yet insistent. The fears, the patterns, the compulsions, they are fingerprints left on your psyche by early experiences you had no control over. The child you once were still whispers instructions: avoid conflict, seek validation, run from discomfort, and you follow, often unconsciously because your shadow remembers what you forgot. Your choices, Your attractions, your friendships, your romances, all are filtered through those early wounds. The people you gravitate toward, the battles you pick, the compromises you accept, they are all traces of a childhood that demanded adaptation over authenticity. The shadow is the puppeteer behind every act you believe is your own. It nudges you toward the familiar pain, even when logic warns you otherwise. You find yourself repeating destructive cycles, choosing partners who mirror parental neglect, sabotaging opportunities that could change your life, procrastinating in ways that feel compulsive rather than accidental. These invisible forces manipulate your emotions and decisions like strings over a marionette. You wake up to discover that habits you despise, fears you cannot explain, and recurring conflicts are not random. They are the shadow asserting its dominance. And because you have denied it for so long, it acts unopposed. It thrives in silence, in ignorance, in the comforting lie that you are fully in control. Yet the more you resist, the more it orchestrates. Every failed attempt at love, every career stumble, every relapse into old behaviors is a reminder that surrendering to avoidance comes at a cost. Sometimes subtle, sometimes devastating. Confronting this shadow is terrifying because it forces you to see yourself in raw, unfiltered light. You will encounter parts of yourself you have denied: rage, jealousy, fear, and shame. You will realize that the chaos in your life is not a series of accidents, but a reflection of what you have refused to acknowledge. Resistance tempts you to turn away, to bury the memories, to distract yourself once again. But recognition is the only path to agency. You must look at the patterns, the repetitions, the hidden compulsions, and say, "This is mine. I choose to see it." Only then do the chains begin to loosen. Only then does the puppeteer relinquish control. Facing the shadow does not mean perfection. It means awakening. It means stepping into the storm, confronting the echoes of your past and claiming the power that has been waiting behind fear. The collapse that follows is not destruction. It is the clearing of space for authenticity. You are not your wounds. You are the awareness that rises from them. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. You wake up and look in the mirror, and for the first time, the reflection stares back with unfamiliar eyes. The self you have built, careful, polished, controlled, crumbles like old plaster. Every accomplishment, every label, every identity you clung to feels suddenly hollow. You realize that much of who you thought you were was borrowed from expectations, fears, and patterns you never chose. Shame creeps in, uninvited, as you notice the cracks you ignored for decades. Loneliness wraps around you like a cold fog, isolating you even among crowds. Friends, family, partners, they all look at you and see someone familiar, while you feel like a stranger inhabiting a borrowed skin. The routines that once brought comfort now echo with emptiness. Your past decisions, every compromise, every sacrifice, now seem like chains that held you prisoner. You are untethered. The floor beneath your identity has given way, leaving you suspended in a storm of self-doubt, grief, and confusion. And yet, in that disorientation, there is a strange clarity. The parts of you you denied, hid, and suppressed are speaking with a force you cannot ignore. The illusions that protected you begin to fall apart. The relationships you counted on reveal cracks. People you thought were allies drift away, exposing your reliance on false pillars. The career achievements you used to measure worth feel fragile, as if a single gust of truth could topple them. The comforting narratives you told yourself, "I am strong, I am loved, I am enough," fracture under the weight of self-confrontation. You see patterns repeating in your life, shadows guiding choices you believed were free. Even your body, your own habits, betray familiar tension and unspoken fears. The collapse is not gentle, it is seismic, shaking every foundation you trusted, and with each tremor the illusions dissolve, leaving raw, naked reality. You confront betrayal, disappointment, and self-deception in ways that feel almost unendurable. Your mind resists. You want to retreat, to stitch together the old identity and pretend the collapse never happened, but the truth presses in relentlessly, demanding recognition. This crucible of pain is not destruction, it is purification. Each tear, each sleepless night, each moment of despair is a chisel shaping the raw stone of your being. The collapse is the prelude to emergence. In these broken pieces, you find the contours of your authentic self, waiting to be claimed. Every wound becomes a teacher, every fear a signal pointing toward growth. You begin to sense that this storm is necessary, that the self you are about to inherit will be stronger, wiser, and more whole than the borrowed identity you lost. The despair holds a subtle promise. Only by facing the abyss can you rebuild a self that cannot be shaken by illusions, that embraces its shadow as well as its light. The collapse is not the end. It is the threshold to a life lived consciously, courageously, authentically. You fall apart to rise as yourself. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. You believed it was love. You clung to someone, invested time, hope, and heart, and told yourself that their presence made you whole. But now, looking back, the truth begins to emerge. What you called love was often a shadow of your own needs, a projection of desire, a plea for validation. You were attached not to person, but to the comfort they seemed to provide, the illusion that someone could fill the emptiness you refused to face alone. Attachment disguised itself as love, whispering that dependence was intimacy, that neediness was devotion, that surrender was connection, and you believed it. You convinced yourself that staying in uncomfortable relationships, tolerating manipulation, or ignoring betrayal was proof of loyalty or deep love. Yet the heart knows when it is being mirrored by desire instead of truth. That which you once thought sacred was often driven by fear, longing, or the unhealed wounds of your past. Projection is a subtle and dangerous force. You placed expectations on others that were never theirs to bear. You interpreted kindness as devotion, criticism as rejection, attention as affection. Every moment of joy or pain was filtered through your own inner world, colored by past trauma, unmet needs, and unresolved shadow. The person in front of you was never fully seen. They were a canvas upon which you painted your fears and fantasies. You fell in love with the reflection of your own psyche, not the reality of the other person. This explains the cycles of disappointment, conflict, and repeated heartbreak. You were not blind, you were human. Shadow-driven projection is a universal trap, a quiet seduction that masquerades as intimacy, making you feel connected while the true self remains isolated. Recognizing this is painful, but necessary. Freedom begins in awareness. When you finally see that much of what you called love was an echo of your own shadow, a veil lifts. You reclaim energy once spent on illusions and redirect it toward self-knowledge, growth, and authentic connection. Relationships become mirrors rather than prisons. You start to discern genuine intimacy from dependency, trust from expectation, desire from projection. This understanding is liberating. The power to choose who and what deserves your heart rests firmly in your hands. You release resentment, guilt, and lingering attachment to what never served you. You realize that your worth is not determined by who loved you, betrayed you, or left you behind. Insight transforms sorrow into wisdom, pain into agency. The recognition that it was never love is not bitter, It is freeing. It is the key to stepping into a life of authenticity, where connection is reciprocal, conscious, and alive. See clearly, release the illusion, love yourself first. Knowing your darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. You stand at the edge of your own inner abyss, heart pounding, mind racing. The shadows you have long avoided, anger, shame, fear, guilt, loom like jagged cliffs in your consciousness. You feel their weight as if every hidden thought, every suppressed desire, every emotion you buried has coalesced into a storm inside you. And yet, this is the moment that defines you. The instant when you turn toward the fear instead of away. You confront the rage that rises when injustice touches you, the desire that pulses even when it is inconvenient or dangerous, the guilt that claws at your soul for decisions made or paths not taken. These feelings are not enemies, they are messengers, guides toward truths you refuse to see. The confrontation is not comfortable. You may tremble, question your own worth, and feel exposed in ways that scare you. But in facing them, you awaken a subtle power, a force that arises when denial ends, when shadows are acknowledged rather than ignored. This power is raw, terrifying, and transformative. It is the fuel that will drive you from reaction to conscious choice. Integration is the path forward. You begin to see that your shadow is not a curse, but a source of creativity, insight, and resilience. The parts of yourself you once rejected, the jealousy, the pride, the unspoken longings, become tools rather than chains. You no longer battle impulses, you understand them. You recognize that the anger in your chest signals injustice that needs addressing, that the desire in your body signals unfulfilled potential, that guilt signals the values you have strayed from. In this recognition, clarity arises. Decisions become aligned with truth rather than fear. Relationships shift from projection to authenticity. Even daily life work, art, connection carries a vibrancy previously impossible. You discover self-respect, not through pleasing others, but through honoring every fragment of your being, conscious and shadow alike. Integration is not perfect harmony. It is the acknowledgement that you are whole, even in contradiction. Emergence follows naturally. Strength now comes from owning every part of yourself, from walking through the fire of your own inner storms and emerging tempered, aware, and fully alive. You move through life with eyes unclouded by denial, hands steady in the face of challenge, heart open yet guarded by understanding. Creativity flows from the shadow's depths, ideas you feared to express, emotions you feared to feel, desires you feared to act on. Power comes not from domination, but from mastery of self. Vulnerability becomes a weapon, courage a companion, and authenticity of your natural state. In this integration, you are no longer fractured by fear or burdened by repression. You are the whole, the storm and the calm, the darkness and the light, fused into a being capable of deliberate choice, love without illusion, and creation without compromise. The shadow is no longer an adversary. It is your teacher, your ally, your hidden reservoir of strength. Embrace the shadow, harness its power, rise as your whole self. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. The storm within has passed. The chaos that once raged through your thoughts, your decisions, your very being, has quieted. You feel it first as a subtle lightness, as if a weight you did not fully notice has lifted from your chest. The shadows that once dictated your moods and actions no longer have the same grip. You notice how breathing feels deeper, how silence is no longer empty, but full of possibility. Emotions are no longer explosions or suppressions. They are rivers flowing naturally, without dam or obstruction. You can sit with sadness without panic, with anger without guilt, with desire without shame. The cacophony that once defined your internal world has been replaced by clarity. This calm is not absence of struggle, it is presence of awareness, knowing that the storms were never destroy you, but to awaken you. You see the patterns that once trapped you and realize they no longer have power unless you invite them. The past does not vanish, but its chains dissolve. You are aware that serenity is not a reward. It is a skill cultivated through confrontation, integration, and reflection. Now, life becomes deliberate rather than reactive. Every choice carries awareness. When a challenge arises, you no longer respond from old fear or shadow-driven impulse. You pause, you assess, you act consciously. Relationships shift because you interact with others from authenticity, not projection. Work, creativity, and play are no longer obligations or escapes. They are expressions of your fully integrated self. The temptation to slip back into old patterns still exists, but you recognize it as a shadow whisper, not a decree. You respond with intention. You choose peace over chaos, presence over distraction, growth over stagnation. Every day becomes a practice, a canvas upon which you can paint consciously, guided by your own values and insight rather than old compulsions. Freedom feels both fragile and infinite, a gift earned through the courage to meet yourself fully. And now comes the invitation, the path you have walked. The confrontation, the collapse, the integration was only the beginning. The Red Book beckons you to continue, to explore deeper realms of consciousness, to engage fully with your inner world. Individuation is not a destination, it is an unfolding, a lifelong dance between light and shadow, clarity and mystery, fear and courage. You are capable of carrying this awareness into every aspect of life, shaping a world from the inside out, and touching others with authenticity, empathy, and power. The lessons are not theoretical, they are alive within you, waiting to be enacted in choices, relationships, art, and presence. You have seen the storm, met the shadow, reclaimed the pieces of yourself you thought lost. Now, with consciousness as your compass, you navigate life deliberately, embracing peace as an active creation rather than a passive hope. Choose awareness. Choose peace. Live consciously, fully, and free.